Captain and Tennille were once the picture of love and success. With chart-topping hits like Love Will Keep Us Together and their own TV variety show, they seemed unstoppable. Fans adored the couple's chemistry both on and off the stage. But behind the bright spotlight was a much darker story. Toni Tennille and Daryl Dragon's marriage wasn't what it seemed, and the truth didn't come to light until years later. Now, Tennille has shared heartbreaking details about their relationship that left fans shocked. So what really went wrong in their seemingly perfect union? Join us as we take a closer look at their journey together, as well as the heartbreaking truth about their relationship. Toni Tennille's early life. Toni Tennille's life began in Montgomery, Alabama, where she grew up in a tight-knit family with 3 younger sisters. Her father, Frank, owned a furniture store and served in the Alabama legislature. Before that, he had been a singer with Bob Crosby's Bobcats, so music ran in the family. Her mother, also named Catherine, hosted a daily TV show in Montgomery for 5 years, showing her own flair for entertainment. Tennille's early life was full of music and ambition. She attended Sidney Lanier High School and later studied classical piano at Auburn University. While there, she sang with the Auburn Knights, a local big band that gave her a taste of performing. But life took a turn when her father's furniture business failed, forcing the family to move to California. In Balboa, Tennille worked as a file clerk and later as a statistical analyst at North American Rockwell Corporation. Her love for music followed her to California. In the late 1960s, while living in Corona del Mar, she joined the South Coast Repertory Theater Group. It was here she was asked to write the score for a rock musical called Mother Earth. The musical became a local success and even made it to Broadway for a short time in 1972. By then, Tennille had already made a name for herself as the composer, even though she wasn't directly involved with the Broadway production. But what about Daryl Dragon? And how did the two of them meet? Daryl Dragon's humble beginnings. Daryl Dragon's life also revolved around music from the start. Born to Carmen Dragon, a famous conductor and composer, and Eloise Rawitzer, he grew up surrounded by talent. His godfather, comedian Danny Thomas, was another big influence. Dragon's brothers were musicians too, playing in bands like the Dragons and the Surf Punks. Daryl studied piano at San Fernando Valley State College, but eventually left to form a band with his brothers. In the late 1960s, he contributed to several music projects, including a psychedelic soul album recorded by the Dragons. Though the album didn't see the light of day until decades later, it showcased his talent for creating unique sounds. In 1967, Dragon joined the Beach Boys as a keyboardist, earning the nickname Captain Keyboard from lead singer Mike Love. Dragon leaned into the nickname, adopting a captain's hat as his signature look. Over the years, he became an integral part of the band, contributing to their albums and even co-writing tracks like Cuddle Up with Dennis Wilson. His orchestration added depth to songs like Make It Good and Don't Go Near the Water. And it was during auditions for Mother Earth when Dragon met Toni Tennille. This meeting marked the beginning of a powerful partnership. Their shared passion for music and undeniable chemistry set the stage for something extraordinary. Little did they know this connection would soon evolve into one of the most iconic duos of the 1970s. The rise of Captain and Tennille. In the early 1970s, Toni Tennille was making a name for herself in the world of music. She co-wrote a musical called Mother Earth, which was all about environmental awareness. Meanwhile, Daryl Dragon was playing keyboards for the Beach Boys. He had a strong musical legacy as the son of composer Carmen Dragon. Fate brought the two together when Tennille needed a keyboardist for her musical's move to Southern California. Dragon, between tours with the Beach Boys, auditioned and got the job. It wasn't long before Dragon repaid the favor. When the Beach Boys needed an extra keyboardist, he recommended Tennille, making her the only woman to tour with the iconic band, a title she held proudly as their Beach Girl. Speaking of which, their chemistry on stage sparked something greater. After their Beach Boys tour, Tennille and Dragon started performing as a duo at a restaurant in Los Angeles. They initially called themselves the Dragons, but eventually settled on the dynamic name Captain and Tennille, borrowing from Dragon's Beach Boys nickname. Their first big break came with a song Tennille wrote, "The Way I Want to Touch You." The song gained popularity on local radio, catching the attention of record labels. Captain and Tennille signed with AANDM Records, marking the start of their incredible journey. Their rise to fame. Captain and Tennille hit the jackpot with their debut single, "Love Will Keep Us Together." The song became a massive success, shooting to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 1975. It sold over 1 million copies and even won a Grammy Award for Record of the Year. As a nod to songwriter Neil Sedaka, Tennille added the cheeky line, "Sedaka is back," at the end of the song. It wasn't the last time they turned to Sedaka's music. Several of their hits, like "Lonely Night," "Angel Face," and "You Never Done It Like That," were co-written by him. But their success didn't stop there. Other hits like "Shop Around," "Muskrat Love," and "The Way I Want to Touch You" solidified their place in the music world. Their albums, including "Love Will Keep Us Together" and "Song of Joy," became massive hits, with several going gold or platinum. In 1975, Toni and Daryl tied the knot. While fans believed they were married on Valentine's Day 1974, the real date was November 11, 1975. Toni herself admitted to perpetuating the Valentine's Day myth, even mentioning it on their TV show. And so their popularity reached new heights in 1976 when they were invited to perform at the White House for Queen Elizabeth II and President Gerald Ford during America's bicentennial celebration. Around the same time, ABC gave them their own variety show, The Captain and Tennille Show. The program ran for a year, combining musical performances and comedy sketches with star-studded guest appearances. Although it achieved decent ratings, the duo decided to focus on their music, leading to the show's cancellation. Speaking of which, the late 1970s brought new challenges. Challenges and shifts in the spotlight. Their third album, Come In From the Rain, and later albums like Dream, didn't achieve the same success as their earlier releases. Despite this, songs like "You Never Done It Like That" and "Do That To Me," One More Time, still resonated with fans. Their 1979 album, Make Your Move, even produced a second #1 hit. However, by the early 1980s, their popularity began to wane. Albums like Keeping Our Love Warm struggled to chart, and the pressures of constant touring took their toll. By the 1990s, Captain and Tennille were no longer producing chart-topping hits, but continued to perform in smaller venues, particularly around Lake Tahoe and Reno. But fans still adored them, and their live performances were a nostalgic treat. A memorable moment came in 1995 when they celebrated their 20th anniversary with a performance at the House of Blues in Los Angeles. The duo remained culturally relevant in quirky ways, too. In 1999, they made a guest appearance on Space Ghost Coast to Coast, showing their humor and charm to a younger audience. Though they stepped back from regular performances in 2000, their legacy endured with the release of greatest hits compilations and remastered albums. But even as they shifted away from the spotlight, Captain and Tennille's influence didn't fade. Later years, a legacy of love and music. In the early 2000s, they released special projects like their live album, An Intimate Evening with Toni Tennille, and remastered versions of their classic albums. They even ventured into holiday music with the release of their Christmas album, The Secret of Christmas. In 2007, the duo contributed to the animated film Casper's Scare School, recording songs and lending their voices to characters. Their music found new audiences, and tracks like Love Will Keep Us Together continued to be celebrated in pop culture. Despite their enduring public image as the perfect musical couple, their marriage faced struggles. In 2014, Toni revealed that their relationship was more complicated than fans ever imagined, ultimately leading to their divorce. But what was the reason for their divorce? Let's take a closer look at Toni Tennille and Daryl Dragon's personal lives to understand the events leading up to their separation. Personal life behind camera. Their relationship had always intrigued fans. From their professional success to their seemingly perfect partnership, they appeared to have it all. But behind the scenes, things weren't as they seemed. Toni married her first husband, Kenneth Shearer, a drummer, in 1962 when she was just 22. That marriage ended a decade later in 1972. Soon after, she crossed paths with Daryl Dragon, and the two formed the iconic duo Captain and Tennille. Their musical collaboration led to a whirlwind romance, and they tied the knot on November 11, 1975. Interestingly, Tennille later admitted their decision to marry was influenced by financial advice. According to her, their accountant told them they'd save on taxes if they got married. Despite the practical reason behind their union, the couple seemed happy, sharing chart-topping hits and hosting a popular TV show in the 1970s. However, the cracks in their marriage started to show years later, and Tennille filed for divorce in January 2014 after nearly 39 years together. What caused the rift? Health struggles and emotional distance. One of the reasons for their divorce may have been health-related. Daryl Dragon suffered from a neurological condition called essential tremor, which caused severe shaking and made it impossible for him to play the keyboards. This was a heavy blow for Dragon, who had built his life around music. Tennille openly discussed his condition in her blog back in 2010, expressing her concern over how much it affected him. Later, Dragon revealed that errors in his medication dosages had worsened his symptoms. But health wasn't the only issue. In her memoir, Tennille painted a painful picture of their marriage. She described their relationship as emotionally distant and revealed that Dragon was unable to show her physical affection. "I can say without exaggeration that he showed no physical affection for me during our very long marriage," she wrote. The couple even slept in separate bedrooms, which symbolized the emotional gap between them. During her appearance on The Today Show in 2016, Tennille confirmed that the lack of affection was a significant reason for their divorce. Despite the separation, Dragon later responded positively to the interview, telling Tennille, "I saw you on The Today Show. I was proud of you." A marriage under strain. While their musical careers flourished in the 1970s, their marriage faced silent struggles. Fans saw them as the perfect duo, but behind closed doors, Tennille felt unfulfilled. In her memoir, she described Dragon as controlling and emotionally unavailable. Over time, these issues built up, leading Tennille to make the difficult decision to leave. After the divorce was finalized in July 2014, both Tennille and Dragon moved on in their own ways, but remained connected. Tennille moved to Arizona to care for Dragon during his recovery, showing that their bond went beyond their marriage. In 2015, she relocated to Florida at her sister's suggestion. The divorce came as a shock to Dragon. He claimed he didn't know Tennille was filing for divorce until he was served the papers. In an interview with TMZ, he admitted, "I don't know why Toni filed for divorce." Despite this, their separation wasn't filled with bitterness. Tennille remained involved in Dragon's life, especially as he worked on improving his health. In fact, Dragon later credited Tennille for helping him recover after adjustments to his medication brought relief from the side effects. Life after divorce. In 2016, while promoting her memoir on Today, Toni Tennille opened up about the real reasons behind the end of her seemingly fairy tale marriage to Daryl Dragon. She shared that their relationship ultimately failed because of intimacy issues. "Sex is not love, sex is not intimacy," Tennille explained. She revealed that Dragon struggled with affection. "He just couldn't be affectionate. He couldn't just give me a hug," she said. Tennille didn't blame him, however, noting that his upbringing played a significant role. Dragon's father, the famous conductor Carmen Dragon, was overbearing, and his family life had been far from nurturing. "He was raised quite differently than I was," Tennille said. "None of this is his fault." Despite these challenges, Tennille tried for years to bridge the emotional gap. "I kept trying and thinking I could bring this man who has so much to give into the light," she said. Her hope was that Dragon could experience the kind of joy and love she had growing up in a close, supportive family. In the end, Tennille made the tough decision to leave. But the divorce was not bitter. Dragon gave her memoir his blessing, showing their continued respect for each other. After seeing her on the Today Show, Dragon told Tennille, "I thought you were great. I'm very proud of you." These words, rarely spoken during their marriage, meant a lot to her. Tennille later discovered that Dragon understood why she had to leave. Their bandmate, Rusty Higgins, shared an email Dragon wrote after the divorce. "Toni left me, as well she should have." Tennille called the message heartbreaking, but acknowledged that Dragon realized her departure was necessary for her well-being. Despite their separation, the two remained connected until Dragon's passing. Dragon once said, "I was drugged at the time of the divorce. That's all I can tell you," hinted at the difficulties he faced during their later years. Despite everything, their story remained one of deep connection, even in the face of personal struggles. Toni Tennille and Daryl Dragon's relationship may have ended in divorce, but their bond, both as musical partners and as friends, remained until Dragon's passing on January 2, 2019, from complications of kidney failure in Prescott, Arizona. Toni Tennille's final goodbye to Daryl Dragon. Toni Tennille will always hold a special place in her heart for Daryl Dragon, her longtime musical partner and former husband. When Dragon passed away at age 76, Tennille was right by his side. His death from renal failure at a hospice in Prescott, Arizona, marked the end of a long and complex journey they shared. Despite their divorce in 2014 after nearly 40 years of marriage, Tennille never stopped caring for Dragon. After spending some time in Florida writing her memoir, she felt a pull to return to Prescott. "Something said to me, I need to go back to Prescott. I should be nearer to him," she recalled. Once back, she stepped in to ensure Dragon received better care. She fired health aides she believed weren't looking after him properly and found him a new home where he could be treated with dignity. Tennille visited him regularly and was with him during his final moments. In those last quiet moments together, she told him, "I know you're there and want you to know that I loved you anyway." She fulfilled his final wish by scattering his ashes around Granite Mountain in Prescott, a place he loved deeply. "He was a brilliant man," Tennille said, "and I loved him with all my heart." For her, their hit songs were more than music. They were love letters to Dragon. Tennille's deep love and respect for Dragon were evident in the way she honored his memory. But their journey wasn't without its challenges. Beyond the music and personal connection, the pressures of fame added another layer to their story. While their songs captured the hearts of millions, the reality of being in the spotlight wasn't always as glamorous as it seemed. The challenges of fame and finding peace. As Captain and Tennille, their success in the 1970s skyrocketed, with hits like "Love Will Keep Us Together." But Tennille, who grew up in Montgomery, Alabama, struggled with the constant attention. She described moments of discomfort, like being recognized in restaurants or having her privacy invaded. "I was raised as a Southern lady to be polite and gracious, but I couldn't do simple things anymore," she shared. One particularly jarring moment was when a fan pushed into a dressing room while she was half-dressed. "It was just so difficult and embarrassing for me," she said. Dragon, on the other hand, was more accustomed to fame, having grown up with a famous father, conductor Carmen Dragon. Still, even he preferred staying behind the scenes, focusing on creating music rather than being in the spotlight. Tennille admitted that they both retreated in their own ways. For her, the whispers and stares took away the small joys she once cherished, like reading a book in peace. Yet she understood that fame was part of the job. Looking back, Tennille described "Love Will Keep Us Together" as magic. The song, which earned them a Grammy, remains one of her most cherished works. "It's just one of those songs you don't forget," she said. Now Tennille is living her low-key life in Prescott. "Prescott has allowed me to support all the wonderful organizations we have in this town. It makes me happy," she said. Whether through her music or her community contributions, Tennille continues to honor the legacy she built with Dragon, while carving out a life filled with the things she loves most. What's your favorite Captain and Tennille song, and what memories does it bring back for you? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more such stories.